Hey everyone, John from Nintendo Life here, and I'm not alone. I'm joined by the bodacious Alex Olney.
Hello there, lovely people. I've got to say that, haven't I?
You've got her. Now, Alex, you had a little thing to say just to warn the audience.
Yeah, just a very minor thing, but where I'm recording, there is some light construction going on next door, so if you hear some banging or some sawing or some drilling at any point, I do apologise, but I can't really get around that.
So sorry about that, but Alex, for the very first time in 27 years, Nintendo brought back the All-Stars branding. We had Super Mario 3D All-Stars compiling Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. And they also did something they very rarely do, being a compilation. Nintendo, for the most part, just sort of re-released their own games standalone for full price, and they get away with it because there's just a lot of value behind the Nintendo name. But they've given us a bit of hope, and there's a lot of anniversaries coming up over the next couple of years, with the next one being Zelda's 35th next year, and I'm sure that's probably on both of our lists. So what we're going to do is basically give you a dream compilation of our most anticipated potential All-Stars that could come out in the future. So Alex, I think we probably both have Zelda.
I didn't specifically create this list with Dream in mind. I just did some of them for fun.
Yeah, I mean, some of mine are ridiculous too. So let's start with the more realistic ones and slowly dwindle into obscurity.
Into chaos, yeah.
Into chaos. So Alex, let's start with Zelda, because that could happen next year on the 35th anniversary. What do you think this could be?
Well, this whole thing is very pie in the sky, but I do think the idea of Zelda 3D Remasters Collection is a possibility. I mean, and this is true for all of the items on this list. A lot of the older games on the NES and SNES are obviously available on, through Nintendo Switch Online for free. I don't even think Nintendo could repackage those and try and sell them. So I think when it comes to Zelda and a lot of the things on this list, I think it's mainly going to be the 3D games. And that's what I think we could be seeing with Zelda. If it happens at all, I think we're going to be seeing the Zelda 3D Remasters collection, not remastered collection, remasters. I think we're going to be seeing Ocarina of Time 3D, Majora's Mask 3D, Wind Waker HD, and Twilight Princess HD, all in one delicious package.
That would be delightful. And it's worth noting too, this doesn't really apply to Zelda, but the Mario 3D All-Stars came with some brand new GameCube and Wii emulators, and it would be a shame if they weren't put to more use. But in the case of Zelda, there are already remasters on the Wii U they can bring along, and the 3DS, so those emulators don't really get used in this sense. But one game I am wondering about in this potential compilation...
Whoa, don't tell me. Link's crossbow training.
Alex, you son of a gun. You got it. To be honest though, if they made a 3D compilation with no Link's crossbow training, that would be a travesty.
It would, wouldn't it? All of the Link's crossbow training games in one place. It's just too many games to be able to play them all.
Exactly. No one can be fully satiated with that much value.
No.
But, with another game though, Skyward Sword. This is the big 3D Zelda that's been left out of any remasters. Is there a potential that this could come back in the potential All-Stars compilation?
I think it's entirely possible. I do actually have a slight confession regarding this. I've never properly played Skyward Sword. I have played it, but honestly, I borrowed it from a friend and I fully intended to complete it from start to finish and then give it back to him. But I just got bored. Skyward Sword did nothing for me, and that's really kind of sad to say.
You got Skyward bored. Got to put it in there. But Skyward Sword, to me, I do like it. It's not my favourite 3D Zelda, but I still think it deserves to have some kind of... it deserves to have its legacy restored. It shouldn't just fade into the weeds' obscurity.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think my personal opinions should affect Nintendo's overall decisions.
Right. It feels like also the Switch is kind of, I wouldn't say the perfect console for it, but it is a console for it. The Joy-Con do kind of mirror the Wii remotes, and while we would still have, drifting with gyro, with no sensor bar to pick up a lot of the movements, it's still a control scheme that would work for Skyward Sword, whereas we're not sure if future consoles will kind of pick up for that or not.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things was obviously it used Wii Motion Plus, and that was essentially the same stuff that is in a Joy-Con. I think the Joy-Con is more accurate than that because technology's come along. But even so, it's the same idea. So the sword swiping and everything, that was the big thing that made it different. And that's also one of the big things that I didn't like about it. But regardless, that's what made it different, the kind of the one-to-one combat and the gimmicks that came because of that. And that's not something you could do without, by just pointing the Wii Remote at the screen. We kind of saw that with Twilight Princess. So no, I agree. I think the Joy-Cons are the perfect controllers for that particular avenue of pain.
Yeah, we're throwing a lot of games into this compilation. I think it's fair that we don't have to limit ourselves to the 3 or 3D All-Stars, because even the first All-Stars had 4 games in there. So pack whatever you want.
Yeah, stick a Pac-Man game in there, just...
Sure, why not?
Should we move on? I've got one that I'd like to hear your opinion on. It may well be on your list, of course. Metroid Prime Trilogy Deluxe.
It's on there. Oh, Deluxe?
Yeah.
What makes it Deluxe?
It's on the Switch now.
Does it have Prime Pinball?
No, but it does have Toadette.
Why do you do this to me?
No, just Metroid Prime Trilogy. I put Deluxe in there just for memes.
If it doesn't have Prime Pinball, what's the point, though?
Exactly. I mean, I actually really like Prime
Same.
Pinball.
Prime Pinball, to me, is the best Prime spin-off. I think it's better than Prime Hunters and Federation Force.
Oh, no, I have really quite a strong affinity with Hunters. I feel that it was so ambitious to get a first-person 3D shooter on a DS, and they actually did a decent job. And the multiplayer on it was actually, it was actually pretty good. It was completely imbalanced. You could just play as Trace, hide in a corner, turn invisible and snipe people instantly. It was hugely imbalanced, but great fun regardless. And also Noxus had that. I played a lot of this multiplayer, if you can't tell, but Noxus had a glitch where you could use his charge shot, which sent out like this sort of like very short range, essentially shotgun blast, and it's not as simple as that. And it would freeze opponents solid. The thing is, if you aimed directly down, it didn't actually have an upper limit, so it would stretch across the entire map, and you could just freeze anyone just by looking directly down. It was great. It wasn't great, but it was fun.
I do kind of feel like I'm missing out, actually, because I played Prime Hunters primarily for the single player, and I wasn't too impressed. It was certainly ambitious, but the actual game design I wasn't too impressed by. But I have heard so many great things about multiplayer, and restoring it in a potential Prime saga could even give a new life to that multiplayer, given that Nintendo Wi-Fi connection is dead.
Yeah, I mean, I think the multiplayer was absolutely the greatest part of it. The single player was fine, but it was just that. It was just fine, but the multiplayer, even just from a purely lore point of view, introducing new bounty hunters and some really interesting new races. It was wonderful. We saw some really crazy things going on there, and it expanded the Metroid universe in a way that hasn't been done for quite a long time. I know they did other bounty hunters with 3 Corruption, but I didn't find them nearly as interesting. They were far too nice.
It's also kind of a key point of where Prime 4's heading. Like, Psylocke was teased in the ending of Prime 3, he's also in Federation Force right at the end, and it seems to be the core, antagonist of Prime 4. So, if they were to do a new Prime collection, I would like Prime Hunters in there.
The Metroid Prime Psylocke collection. That's a terrible name. That wouldn't sell at all.
God, Tanabe just loves Psylocke. He really wants him to be a thing. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Psylocke is just on the box art of this entire saga.
It just turns out that Psylocke is a metaphor for us viewing the game.
Ah. But to turn it back to the actual Prime collection, these are 3 of the best games of all time, especially the first Prime. That's one of my favourite games ever made. Yeah, to have it on the Switch, in HD as well, would just be delightful. Like, exploring Talon 4, looking up and seeing the water go onto your visor in full HD, that would just be stunning.
I just don't think I can think of many collections that I want more on the Switch with, certainly with a nice little upgrade. I don't even think the textures generally need to have that much improvement. The game, it's a GameCube game. It still looks really good just because of how strong and clever they were with the art direction. Yeah, everything's made of about 16 polygons, but I think everything's designed to look angular in that sense, and so it remains still a fantastic looking game. I honestly think there are some 360 games, or, PS3 games that don't look nearly as good as Metroid Prime.
Oh, no doubt. It's like Mario Galaxy in a sense. Like, playing that in 3D All-Stars, sometimes I thought, this looks like a modern game. And I get that sense playing Metroid Prime sometimes.
Yeah, and yeah, they can't release it fast enough for me. I mean, has Metroid got an anniversary coming up?
I think it might be the same year as Zelda, so it might even be next year.
Oh, so it'll be forgotten. As it always is, you know.
They forgot about the 30th anniversary, so no doubt, yeah. But with Prime 4 coming up, though, I think that would be nuts not to keep that momentum going by releasing something Metroid, whether it's a compilation or a spin-off or just something to keep that franchise going in the meantime.
Honestly, just a straight port of Trilogy, just as it is with Switch controls. I honestly, I'll just be happy with that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love more, but yeah, no, I'm gagging to play those games. I'm gagging to play them again. I'm gagging to play them on Switch with, lovely upscaled, not upscaled resolution, higher resolution. I've got to be distinct about that because comments. But no, it's it's a no-brainer in my book. I think it's certainly with Prime 4 coming out. It's a great way to get more Metroid in people's heads.
It is. And one more little thing that no one cares about, and I'm sure everyone's forgotten by now, HD Rumble. Imagine feeling a different shake every single time you use a different beam. The plasma beam feels different to the ice beam.
You're making my trousers tighter. Moving on.
Anyway, anything non-Metroid, Alex?
Yes, I've actually got quite a few things on here, some of which I may not even mention because we've already been talking for quite a long time. But one, very quickly, Mother Anniversary Collection in 2021. Because 2021, and I am stretching here, is the 15th anniversary of Mother 3. It's not the anniversary of Mother as a whole, it's just the 15th anniversary of Mother 3. I just want to play Mother 3. I've been so tempted to play it with, you can get it and people have done fan translations and things like that, but I just sort of, I want to play it quote-unquote properly, and I can't speak Japanese, so I'm bang out of luck.
I also had this down on my list, but I want something that's a bit more akin to the original Mario All-Stars, where they remake every game. Ooh. And they've always shown Earthbound with this claymation aesthetic. And can you imagine if they remade Earthbound Beginnings, Earthbound, and Mother 3 in that clay art style?
That would be wonderful. Did you? There was a game called, I don't know whether you've heard of it, called The Neverhood.
I have heard of this, yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and it's a beautiful game even today. I mean, it's stupid low resolution and there's artifacts everywhere, but it still stands up. I think claymation is a style that would last forever. They never have to ever even reconsider doing the graphics again because it's just such a strong style. I'd absolutely love Mother 3 to come over to Switch in this sort of form, or any form, to be honest. I'm not so convinced by that one.
No, I think that one has some troublesome elements that sort of stopped it from being localized. But if they were to just remake them from scratch, there's a chance that they could rework those things that kind of prevented it in the first place.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
What's next on your list, John?
Okay, so next on my list, I wanted to deviate from Mario, but I couldn't, so here's Paper Mario All-Stars. So this one would be the original Paper Mario on 64, the Thousand Year Door, Super Paper Mario, and all the fan lists I see stop there. But I want everything. I want even the bad stuff. I want Sticker Star on there. I want Color Splash on there, which I actually quite like. And that's it. maybe Mario and Luigi Paper Jam Bros, whatever it was called. I didn't like that one either.
That's a bit of a stretch, that one, because that's a Mario and Luigi game. What about rather than specifically Paper Mario? What about Mario RPG All Stars?
Ooh.
So you got you got Paper Mario, Super Mario RPG. You've got Superstar Saga, Bowser's Inside Story, which I only realized recently is amazing. I've never actually played it, and yeah, I think that you stretch the scope a little bit. You've got yourself one killer collection. You get Thousand Year Door in there as well, obviously.
You're looking at like 200 hours of gameplay there.
Oh god, minimum. My god.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous value. If they did that, I think you could happily not buy a game for the next 2 years. But yeah, that would be incredible. I can't see them quite doing that, because that's almost too much value for Nintendo. But can you imagine that?
God, it would be beautiful, wouldn't it? I'd like to bring up a bit of a curveball, but a genuine one, not something weird. That comes later. Sonic 3D, the good ones.
Is that the subtitle of the game?
That's the subtitle of the collection. So it
Okay, so what are the good
it
ones?
includes Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Colors, half of Sonic Unleashed. You know, it's Sonic Generations. It's the whole package.
Oh man, I would love that so much. To be honest, I like Unleashed, but it's just so tedious to play through from scratch. If you have a complete save file, that game's delightful, but otherwise it's just such a slog. If they were to repackage it with just the good levels, I would adore that game.
It's, they've kind of, in a way, already sort of flirted with the idea with Sonic Generations. You know, it's just the good levels from previous games. I mean, in the new style and everything, and this obviously fits that bill. It's, the thing is, though, something that I actually often forget. Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 were re-released on Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation. Was it on PlayStation as well, or was it just Xbox?
It was, yes, both of them.
I forget that. I forget that happened.
They weren't the best ports. Every single time they port Sonic Adventure, something goes a bit wrong.
Admittedly, there's a lot wrong
like
with
that.
Sonic Adventure.
To be honest, I've always liked Sonic Adventure. It's kind of a guilty pleasure.
Don't get me wrong. I love it, but it's a broken mess.
Also, one thing that may be impossible as well. What about like a universal Chow Garden? So your progress from every game kind of continues over to this brand new, fully from the ground up remastered Chow Garden.
You're just setting me up for disappointment. I mean, the Chow Garden, honestly, I don't know. Honestly, I must have spent hundreds of hours in the Sonic Adventure 2 Chow Garden. Not so much in Sonic Adventure 1, because I only had a GameCube that came out afterwards, and it was a lesser Chow Garden. But Sonic Adventure 2 Chow Garden, that was just amazing. It was just one of the best virtual pet experiences. So much hidden as well, like the Chaos Chow, and, you know, making transparent Chow, and, you know, even like completely invisible Chow. Sega, what are you doing?
It was such a great incentive to revisit your favorite levels too. It's just this endless gameplay loop, and I don't know why they've abandoned it.
I don't know, maybe. I'm sure they have their reasons. I just don't think they're good ones.
Alright, anyway, let's move on to another game. This one probably won't happen, considering the company, but Pokémon All-Stars. Last generation on 3DS, they put Pokémon Red and Blue and Silver and Gold and Crystal and Yellow on Virtual Console, and with that they had the new abilities for trading wirelessly through 3DSs. But my dream is to have those games in a compilation, maybe Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald as well, but have online play in them for the very first time.
Oof. That's, for the caveat you started with, unfortunately I'm going to have to go with that. It's just not going to happen, I don't think. I think Pokemon is too big, and the Pokemon company have expressed, you know, sort of bundling games together. Have they? I don't think they've ever done that.
They haven't. They could do two different All-Stars collection, like one being red, silver, and the other one being like gold and blue. One reason I put this on here, though, is because it is Pokemon's 25th anniversary next year.
Ooh, is it really that old? I'm old.
Yeah, you're an old boy.
Yeah, that's kind of terrifying. Oh, then again, I suppose it did release in Japan quite a few years before America or Europe. Yeah, but I'd actually like to counter the idea of Pokemon, because it's unlikely. I think we can both agree with that. I'm not saying it'll never happen, but I'm very skeptical. But what I do think is possible is a Pokemon puzzle collection.
Oh, that would please me so much, Alex.
Well, not even necessarily puzzle. It was just a nice title to say, because Pokemon puzzle collection. I could get into why saying multiple plosives in a row like that is pleasing for the mouth, but I'm not going to. But just the idea of having the spin-offs, so, you know, sort of things like Pokemon Pinball, which is also fun to say, Pokemon Puzzle League, again, fun to say, but also things like maybe even going as far as like Pokemon Ranger. I don't know how you do it with that, but, you know, all the spin-offs. There have been so many great spin-offs. And maybe even as a bonus, as like a little unlock, the little emulated versions of the Pokemon Mini games, if you remember the Pokemon Mini. Mm-hmm. That was a thing. I've wanted one for years and never got one because they're too expensive and it's not worth it. But they're
pricey boys.
Yeah, but they are they're intriguing little devices, and I'd like to see them represented.
They are. Pokemon Puzzle League in particular is one of the best Pound-Ipon games, so I would love if they would do that. There's also Pokemon Puzzle Challenge on the Game Boy Color. Both are so good. If they added online to those, then you wouldn't see me anymore. I'd live there.
Well, it was nice working with you. Moving on, I've actually got another one, which is, I suppose, semi-realistic. The name's a bit weird, but I just wanted to come up with something fun. Kirby's Comeback Pack. Playing off Kirby's Fun Pack from back in the day, known as Kirby Superstar in all sensible territories.
It'd be fun if we got this exclusively, because America, they got a Kirby Dream Collection on Wii that we didn't get.
Bastards.
Yeah. I think they had like all of the 2D Kirby games up until Kirby 64.
That's,
we didn't get it.
Why wasn't I... How did I not get this? I'm guessing because it wasn't released over here, but that's really rude.
They ditched us. Yeah. Very rude, Nintendo.
Rude, Nintendo. Bad. I mean, we did get Xenoblade Chronicles, admittedly, but, you know...
Alright, so this one is, this is solely for me. I'm sure no one else wants this game. But I would love an Excite Truck All-Stars. And you know why, Alex? Excite Truck is a really good game. It's one of the best Wii launch games. And it came with a sequel, Excite Bots, which only released in America. We didn't get it here. And
Bastards!
That sequel even had online. Yeah! They're just taking all our games. And Excite Truck and Excite Bots are low-key some of the best Wii racers. And if they could even like combine them with maybe some Excite Bike games, like Excite Bike 64 or something like that, that would make me a very, very happy boy.
The Excitement Collection.
That's what you need to call it. You don't need the actual brand name in there.
When I said it in that slightly sultry tone, that did make it sound like something entirely different. But the concept is good. I actually really like that idea because a lot of the Excite series, Excite games, passed me by just because nobody can play everything.
No one really knows any Excite game apart from Excite Bike, it seems. But Excite Truck and Bots are legitimately really good.
I'd be well up for that just as much as anything so that I can play some games that pass me by. Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
I hope Nintendo's just watching this video and taking notes. We'll do all of this.
Okay, the last one on my list is the Star Fox Reboot Collection.
Okay.
It is just the original Star Wing. The original Star Fox was called Star Wing in Europe. Don't get weirdly confused. Star Fox 64, Star Fox 0, because those are all the times they've tried to start the series again.
Oh man.
No, hang on, no, because Star Fox 2 was a reboot as well, wasn't it?
I don't know if that was it might have been.
I think I'd just assume that every Star Fox game is a reboot now.
It's a fair assumption.
But yeah, to be honest, certainly like Star Fox Assault. I was about to say Star Fox Adventures. Nah. Did you ever play Star Fox Adventures?
I did. It was fine.
It was fine, yeah. It wasn't Rare's finest moment at all.
No, had good fur shading, that's what I remember.
Oh yeah, no, Rare were good at that. I mean, Conker's Bad Fur Day. Not Bad Fur Day, Conker Live and Reloaded.
Oh, right, on the Xbox,
yeah. Conker Fur, that thing, that stuff. Conker Live and Reloaded almost looks better than Metroid Prime.
It does look ridiculously good. It looks like a 360 game.
It does.
On the original Xbox.
Easy. Not quite what we're here to talk about, but, you know, any opportunity to talk about Conker, I'm game.
But yeah, this would be very, very interesting compilation. I do wonder how well Star Fox Zero would work. It is one of the few games that was kind of built around the dual screen mechanic. And there were enemies which had like targets on their bottom or on their top.
I beg your pardon?
Look down to shoot.
Targets on their bottom?
Targets on their bottom. In either case, though, I think they probably could overcome it. They've overcome most of the Wii U Game Pass implementation with Switch ports. I'm sure they could overcome it. But, I mean, to be honest, I like Star Fox Zero. I don't really get all the hate. I mean, I can understand why it's not everyone's favourite, but it's not a bad game. Let's go on to something else, actually. So, Alex, one thing that I think probably won't happen is at the bottom of my list, but a Monolith Soft All-Stars. And I'm excluding Xenoblade Chronicles X here, but I am looking further back to the back catalogue.
Oh, so we're getting into Xenogears and Xenosaga and stuff.
Exactly. And the reason this is at the bottom is because, well, Xenogears is owned by Square Enix, and Xenosaga is owned by Bandai Namco. They don't sound impossible. Bandai Namco and Nintendo have a very tight relationship. Perhaps they could compile those. But getting Xenogears in, that could be tricky.
Now, you see, I had no idea that, I had no idea that the other games in the series were owned by other publishers. I just assumed maybe Monolith Soft owned them and they just didn't want to use them. But no, that's a bit of a barrier.
Yeah, and we have had Cosmos, who is the main character of Xenosaga. She was a Blade in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and she was also in Project Cross Zone. So it seems they can use her, so potentially they have access to Saga. But, I guess that's, if it were just a Saga collection, that would still satiate a lot of Monolith Soft fans who haven't played those games.
Yeah, I've never played them because they were on non-Nintendo systems, and I didn't really deviate from Nintendo at all until the 360, because the Wii just didn't grab me, and I couldn't grab it anyway because it was sold out everywhere. But no, I'd love a chance to play these old games. I suppose I could just buy them and, play them on the original system, but there's a lot to be said for convenience with all of these collections. You could just play the originals, and I'm sure some people have probably not got this far into the video and are already going down just saying, just play the originals, and I suppose that's a fair enough point, but at the same time, I don't have time to buy all these systems and set them up and take up space underneath my TV. I just want to be able to press the home button on my Pro Controller and just boot them up,
Mm-hmm. And complain about Europe again, too. We didn't get most of these games. We didn't get Xenogears.
Oh my god.
We only got Xenosaga Episode 2. We didn't get the first episode, and I'm pretty sure we didn't get the third episode either.
Bloody wars.
Yeah, so all we got was the middle part of this story was the only one released in Europe. So please give us a chance to actually play these games.
Can we think of a game that came out in Europe but not America just as a palate cleanser?
Oh, we actually got one this year. We got Brain Training. Didn't come out in America.
Brain Training. What? That's not great. It's fine, but it's no Xenosaga.
It's just a thing.
Oh, well, that's the end of my list, and from the sounds of it sounds like it's the end of your list as well.
Yeah, pretty much tapped out.
Blimey. But I suppose, for the sake of our delightful boss Ant, we can mention F-Zero.
Yeah, actually there's an F-Zero game that never came out in the West, being F-Zero Climax. And that was, the GBA got 3 F-Zero games. We got 2 of them in the West, but one of them was Japan exclusive.
What was the second one we got?
So that could come over. So we got Maximum Velocity and GP Legend.
Oh, we did get GP Legend. I know we got Maximum Velocity because that's the main F-Zero game I've played, which is kind of embarrassing. Wow. But I don't know why, I just got it on GBA, and, the other games I just didn't get for some reason. But to be honest, a collection of F-Zero games would be pretty cool. Probably not the right people to be talking about it.
F-Zero is one of those franchises that everyone knows of, but it doesn't seem many people have actually played it. So to give people a chance, I think the last one was 2004, which is 16 years ago. There have not been opportunities to play this franchise. And
there was F-Zero X had the track editor on the 64DD. You could throw that in. Yeah. And here's how you can sell people on F-Zero. F-Zero X has Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 64 in there. Does it? That never gets talked about. Yeah. Yeah, I think F-Zero doesn't get a fair shake a lot of the time, but it's a lot of this, it's all just pure, wish list nonsense, isn't it? Nintendo haven't used the All-Stars name in 27 years. They've used it for the very first time now. I don't think they're going to be blowing out the park, but I do think there's a good chance that we could see Zelda next year. Okay, so those are our Dream All-Stars collections, which are all definitely going to happen. Alex, out of all those, which one do you want the most? Honestly, Metroid Prime Trilogy. Even though I've played all the games, but Metroid Prime Trilogy, just do it. Just do it. What about yourself? I'm kind of the same, but I don't echo your ones. I'm going to say that I, for the most part, would really love Earthbound All-Stars, just to give it another chance. What would they call Mother 3 over here? Earthbound Future Endings. Earthbound Endings, Future? Yeah. Any of those would work. But if Nintendo does any of these, I'll be very happy. Just restoring their legacy and honoring it is something they don't do quite enough. And they've built a framework with these GameCube and Wii emulators and 3D All-Stars. Use them. Just make some use of them. Absolutely. Yeah, so please, let any of these happen. But if you enjoyed this video, then let us know by making a All-Stars collection out of that subscribe button. By pressing it 3 or 4 times with alt accounts. Ideally, if you're already subscribed an even number of times, if you're not, an odd number of times. Thanks.
Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.